The year was 1572. England was a nation divided by religion, politics, and fear. People were judged not only by who they were, but also by what they believed. A single belief could determine whether a person lived in peace, or spent years hiding from persecution. It was into this uncertain world that a boy named John Donne was born. At first glance, there was nothing unusual about his arrival. He was born into a wealthy family in London. His father was a successful merchant. His mother came from a respected Catholic family with deep historical roots. From the outside, the family appeared fortunate. But beneath that appearance was a dangerous reality. The Donne family belonged to England's Catholic minority. At the time, England was ruled by Queen Elizabeth I. The country had officially become Protestant. Catholics were viewed with suspicion. Many were monitored by authorities. Some were arrested. Others lost property, freedom, and opportunity. Growing up in such an environment meant that young John learned a difficult lesson very early in life. The world was not always fair. The beliefs you held could make you a target. And survival often depended on silence. As a child, John Donne lived in a home where faith was deeply important. Religion wasn't simply something practiced on Sundays. It shaped every aspect of daily life. Family conversations, education, friendships, even future career opportunities. Everything was influenced by religious identity. Despite the risks surrounding his family, John's early years were filled with learning. His parents believed education was one of the greatest gifts they could provide. They encouraged curiosity. They valued knowledge. And they recognized that their son possessed remarkable intelligence. From a very young age, John demonstrated an unusual ability to learn. He absorbed information quickly. He asked difficult questions. He displayed a curiosity that often surprised the adults around him. While other children spent their days playing games, John frequently found himself fascinated by books. Words attracted him. Ideas fascinated him. Stories captured his imagination. No one knew it yet, but those interests would eventually shape literary history. However, childhood does not last forever. And tragedy was already approaching. When John was only 4 years old, his father died. The loss changed everything. Suddenly, the family faced uncertainty. Although his mother worked hard to protect her children, the absence of a father left a lasting impact. For many children, such a loss might have broken their confidence. For John, it created something different. It created awareness. An awareness that life could change without warning. An awareness that happiness was fragile. An awareness that death was never far away. These themes would later appear repeatedly throughout his poetry. Many years later, readers would praise his ability to write about mortality and human suffering. What they didn't always realize was that these ideas were not merely intellectual exercises. They came from experience. Even as a child, John Donne understood loss. As the years passed, his education continued. His family ensured he received excellent instruction. Teachers quickly noticed his talent. He possessed not only intelligence but also discipline. He was capable of understanding complex subjects that challenged students much older than himself. By the age of 11, John entered Oxford University. Even by the standards of the 16th century, this was remarkable. Most children his age were still receiving basic education. John was already studying at one of England's most respected institutions. Oxford exposed him to an entirely new world. He encountered philosophy, history, theology, literature, ideas from across Europe, questions about life and human nature. The experience expanded his mind. Yet it also introduced new challenges. Because of his Catholic background, John faced limitations. Students were often expected to swear oaths recognizing the authority of the Protestant Church. For Catholics, this created a serious problem. Accepting the oath could feel like betraying one's beliefs. Refusing it could damage future opportunities. John found himself trapped between faith and ambition. It was a conflict that would follow him for many years. The young scholar desperately wanted success. He wanted recognition. He wanted to contribute something meaningful to the world. But every path seemed blocked by circumstances beyond his control. After Oxford, he continued his studies. He attended Cambridge and later studied law. Once again, his intelligence impressed those around him. Friends admired his knowledge. Teachers respected his abilities. Many people believed he was destined for greatness. Yet beneath the surface, uncertainty remained. The question haunted him. How could a talented young Catholic build a successful future in Protestant England? There were no easy answers. As John entered adulthood, the pressure intensified. England was becoming increasingly hostile toward Catholics. Authorities feared rebellion. Religious tensions were growing. People were arrested for activities that would seem ordinary today. Families learned to be cautious. Trust became difficult. One careless conversation could lead to devastating consequences. John watched these events carefully. He listened. He observed. And he began thinking deeply about the nature of belief itself. Was faith worth suffering for? Could a person remain loyal to their convictions while adapting to a changing world? How should someone respond when society rejects them? These questions shaped his thinking. And eventually, they shaped his writing. But life was preparing another painful lesson. A lesson that would force John to confront tragedy more directly than ever before. His younger brother Henry was deeply committed to the Catholic faith. Like many young men of his generation, Henry believed loyalty to his religion was more important than personal safety. That conviction would cost him dearly. One day, Henry became involved in helping a Catholic priest. Authorities discovered the connection. He was arrested, thrown into prison. And there, in terrible conditions, he became seriously ill. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Then came devastating news. Henry Donne was dead. For John, the loss was overwhelming. This wasn't simply the death of a brother. It was the destruction of certainty. For years, he had trusted in the beliefs he inherited from his family. Now he found himself questioning everything. Why would a loving God allow such suffering? Why did good people experience terrible fates? Why did faith seem to bring pain instead of protection? The questions refused to disappear. They followed him everywhere. And slowly, they transformed him. The confident young scholar began becoming something else. A thinker. A seeker. A man searching for answers in a world filled with uncertainty. He did not know it yet. But these struggles were laying the foundation for the poetry that would one day make him famous. The grief. The doubt. The confusion. The longing for meaning. All of it would become part of his voice. A voice that centuries later would still speak to readers around the world. But before John Donne could become one of history's greatest poets, he would face even greater challenges. Challenges involving love, ambition, failure, poverty, and heartbreak. His greatest struggles were still ahead.